What if the reason you feel exhausted, foggy, and stuck isn't because you're doing anything wrong, but because you were never taught to actually listen to your body in the first place? Because, a lot of times doctors will tell you you're fine when really you don't feel fine at all. Or if someone has brushed off your symptoms, but you know to your core that just something isn't right, this episode is for you. Welcome back to Becoming Unbound. I'm Carly Butler, and this show is all about freedom minded humans who know there is something more for them, more clarity, more self trust, more health, more of everything that you know is possible. So if you are done outsourcing your power to the systems that dismiss you or don't feel aligned, then you are in the right place. So today I'm sitting down with a very old friend, Mariah Jane, who has been through a wild health journey. It led her into the world of holistic healing, environmental toxins, mold, parasite, nervous system support, and how she became her best advocate. There is some seriously amazing things that she had to overcome. Even when doctors tested her multiple times, it came back positive, and they never actually told her what was wrong. So in this conversation, we are unpacking the feeling of being the normal things that we're told that just, you're fine, when really this idea of feeling like low grade crappy is not normal at all. And there could be a more functional, foundational things that you need to change to start to live a more unbound, free life. So, my friends, as you listen, I want you to keep this in mind. What if the thing keeping you stuck isn't the lack of willpower or making big changes, but what if your body just is overwhelmed by carrying this wild load that you can eventually find help for? So, friends, grab a pen and paper, stick around to the end because we unpacked some of the amazing small things that you can do to take steps toward a more free, well, healthful life. All right, friends, let's dive in. Mariah, welcome to Becoming Unbound. So good to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So I want to jump straight in to you. I mean, you've been through quite a journey. So interesting. I was there from, I feel like, one of the beginning parts of your journey. We went to university together,
Mhm.
where you were discovering and understanding more about what you were going through in your health practices and all these things. And then we've spent a fair amount of time apart, and it's really cool to get reconnected. So I'm really curious, was there a moment either before that time in university or after where you were sort of coming to realize that the way that you had been doing things or what you'd been told was not, the way you should be doing your life, or finding out answers, or, dealing with the things that you went through?
Yeah, I feel like there was two really distinct moments, one in education and one in health. And I remember when starting university, like sitting in my first, because Brock did seminars, sitting in my first seminar and then asking questions about like what we read. And I was just like, I don't know. You tell me, like, you're supposed to tell me, what I need to learn about in this seminar. It just felt really strange. And I felt like, I don't know how to learn, or I don't know how to like critical think. And that was like at the beginning of university. So my mind started spinning about like just information that I'm getting told, or just kind of like how I was schooled and how I was taught to learn. And I feel like I had to start undoing that to be able to start critical thinking just to get through school. Cause I'm like, I don't even think I have my own thoughts anymore. I don't even know how to form an opinion about what I'm reading it. I'm so used to you telling me. So that kind of started at the beginning. And then as I was going through kind of my health, I had to kind of bring that into my health journey, being a critical thinker and kind of questioning different doctors or different practices and what people were telling me might have been wrong with me. And I just thought, this is so wild. It just was like my eyes just kind of opened to, I don't know as much as I think I do, and I don't know how to think almost, which is a weird, strange feeling when you're entering adulthood and you're like, I'm in university now, I'm going to go get a job after, and I'm into the world, but yet I feel so unprepared.
That's such an interesting point that really I love that you have that awakening in university because I feel like one part of university's job is just to like the rest of our education is just to like, okay, you've picked this course. Now we are going to fill you up with all of the information that we believe is critical for you to know about this like sector of society or whatever it is. And that's so cool that you started questioning that right away. And I love that you said, I didn't know how to learn.
Hmm.
Like what and now I feel like I love learning now, but it's because I can follow my passions and I can like look at something and be like, "Whoa, that just does like just something doesn't make sense in that." Maybe eventually I'll come to understand it in a different way or that will make sense to me. But just understanding that like you can learn from different perspectives. And I love that you did that at the beginning of university because it can be just a solid 4 to 5 years, 7 years, 6, like whatever it is that whatever course you decide to take, where
Hmm.
they are just like filling you with all this information. You're like, no, no, this is the information that you should definitely know. Hold on to it. We're going to test you on it. And that's kind of all you need to know. So very cool that you started critically thinking about that, and I'm sure that that has equipped you really well going forward. So do you want to tell us about like you said like my health. You started on this health journey.
Hmm.
What did that look like for the listeners who don't know and just want to a little peek whatever you're willing to share with us?
Yeah, I was actually sick since I was born and, just unknown symptoms. And by the time I got to university, I was probably at my worst, my most symptomatic. I could list off over 100 symptoms, and it was hard just to get out of bed and move. And I would sleep in my car in between classes. I was just so, so sick. And I remember going to every specialist under the sun, all the doctors. No one could figure out what was wrong, every testing I could get. And finally, I had this one family doctor who was practicing from South Africa. And he was like, I'm going to test you for things that, can get bit by, because I had traveled and stuff. And it came back positive for Lyme. And he said to me, okay, so I think you have Lyme. This is going to be a tough journey. I'm going to have to send you to infectious disease, and they're going to, this is going to be tough for you. And that's all he said. And I thought, that's kind of funny. Like, that doesn't make sense. I was excited. I'm like, I got a diagnosis. That means there's a cure, there's an answer, there's a protocol here. And I went to infectious disease, and they said, she literally said to me, Lyme doesn't exist. And I thought, well, that's so funny. Then why are you testing for it? It just started to not make sense. And I kind of felt my trust went away. And I was like, it feels sneaky, what do you mean this doesn't exist? People have it. And I had been speaking to other people with Lyme. There's a little community. And so, that's where I started critical thinking and questioning, and maybe they don't have my best interest, or maybe there's more to just healthcare and trying to help people. And maybe there's a backside to all of this. And so I started diving into the holistic world, seeing different practitioners, and that kind of opened up my world to a whole new way of thinking and treating patients. And that's when I kind of uncovered all of the other things: mold, toxins, parasites, co-infections, nervous system, like everything about the body that works in a whole that was just off, right down to like my mitochondria function. I just started learning about every avenue in my body and how they work together, and my body wasn't working together. But when I was compiling my health history, because that's kind of the first thing I did, was I'm going to make this timeline of my health. And there was a really definitive moment where I was pulling up testing from practitioners in the Western world, and I had been tested without knowing 3 times for Lyme disease by that infectious disease doctor and other doctors, and they never told me they were testing for that, and they came back positive. And so I got this information back when I'm compiling my health history, and I thought, wait, what? So I actually have been positive now 3 times. Nobody even told me they were testing me for this, and then nobody followed up to say you were positive. And so that is like the moment where I pretty much stopped with Western medicine. I thought, I don't trust anything here. Nobody has my best interest, and I got to figure this out on my own. I got to be my advocate now.
Oh my god, I'm blown away. What do you mean they didn't tell you?
They just send you for labs. Like, I'm just going to send you for a panel of labs. And you just think, okay, great. And we'll call you if anything comes up. Like, do you ever actually check back in after your doctor and say, can I have all my lab results? Or what did everything say? Sometimes you don't even get a phone call with your results. They just say, everything looks within range. You're good to
Within
go.
range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually went to medical records and asked for all of my files. I mean, like every test I had ever done. And that's when I started finding this. And I thought, can they do that? Can they just test you? And then I was like, but it's positive. Doesn't that mean something? And they just were not ready to talk about that with me. And I thought, oh, I am on my own here. This is the battle that other doctor kind of alluded to, that I was like, what are you talking about? And then I started getting into talking with other patients from outside of Canada. And I thought, oh, we are all in this together. Feels like this like underground situation where we're all trying to claw our way to figure out what's wrong with us and like who can help.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. And also just like it's bringing up so many like my brain is just going on, it's on fire right now. Of
Mm-hmm.
just like it seems like we sometimes we feel like we are stuck with these symptoms, right? You're and so many people just you say the lab test, they're in normal range. And but yet like some of these things are the exact things that are keeping you stuck from like moving and creating better choices for yourself, whether that's like moving houses or changing like the way that you what you eat, how you put things in your body. And like if you don't have this information, how are you supposed to realize that there's a different way to do things or realize that like there's something else going on when really I just feel like so many of these doctors are just like they're just treating the symptoms. They're like, I want you to feel better right now and I have a pill or a protocol or something for you to go on and we're just going to treat the symptoms versus treating these things that are coming up in your labs that are there and so obvious. And but it like it doesn't put I don't I'm a follow the money type of gal, but like I'm just glad that you saw that and started to advocate for yourself, because I think starting to advocate for yourself and speak up and look into these things on your own, which goes back to critical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
is so key. Because yeah, I feel like so many doctors and the people around us, whether it's like teachers, doctors, they're like, yeah, no, you're fine, this is okay,
Yeah.
like, but really, so what were some of those, and if you don't mind sharing, like what were some of the symptoms that you were like, this is more than what I thought it was? Or like how did you start looking into all of these other avenues of your health and the things that were affecting your body and your symptoms? What were some of those things where you're like, this doesn't these two things aren't lining up, my body's not lining up? What were those things that you experienced?
Yeah. And I think the first step was getting back to like finding my own intuition and what my body was telling me, because for so long I just relied on, well, the doctor says I'm fine. My labs say I'm fine. I'm fine. I mean, I literally had neurologists write on my chart. She needs antidepressants and anxiety medication. It's all in her head. So after so many people telling you that, you're like, maybe there is nothing wrong with me. So I had to like really step back and get in tune with my body, like pay attention to symptoms and when I didn't feel well, and just start my own journey of like cutting out different foods and reading and just connecting with other people who was like, I have this symptom too. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. I just thought that was normal for me. I just thought everyone's always in pain or everybody passes out and like just all these things. I didn't know those were even symptoms. That was just my life. So it became connecting with other people to kind of confirm what I was feeling. And then I was digging a little deeper, like, oh, I do feel that, or that is something I suffer with. Like it became my normal until I could expose myself to other people who were also suffering, who kind of enlightened me, like, no, that's not normal and you shouldn't feel that way. And then I really just started to get, and then I really just had to get in tune with myself and trust this is a symptom, or no, I shouldn't be feeling this way when I do this. I shouldn't be waking up tired, exhausted, falling asleep, while driving. Like none of those things should be for a 20-year-old healthy individual. Um, but then I just accompanied this huge long list of steps. And then I was like, well, now what? What do I do with this? So that's when, I just started going down the realm of different holistic practitioners and different testing. And obviously, I ventured into the States to get different testing because it felt, even though it wasn't much better than Canada, it seemed like there were specific doctors that were in private practices that focused on people with autoimmune or Lyme. And when I went there, then they opened up my eyes to, well, it's not just Lyme. Like, let's look at your whole body. Now we need to look at all your organs and how they function. Now there's mold. Now there's toxins. Now there's, they kind of just fully looked at the whole body as a whole. And that's the first time anybody had done that.
Wow. That's mind-blowing that, like, there's just there's so many things that are so wrong with that, and I think when it comes to advocating for your own health
Mhm.
and starting to talk to other people, I think this is why it's so important to be in community, listen to different podcasts and just figure out that you're not alone. Like I think that's number 1, like awareness that what you are experiencing is not a one-off. You're not like not that you're not special, but like there are other people in the world that go through the same thing that have maybe been gaslit by the same sort of medical practices and practitioners that just are like, "No, this is fine." And I think this is like this, "Oh, you're fine. I'm fine in this life. I'm fine in this job. I'm fine in this relationship." It's like, I think we underestimate that we have the ability to thrive on like a semi regular basis, that most of our life can be about thriving and surviving. And yet, that like people are like, "Oh, yeah, you're tired. You're stressed." Like they said, you're anxious, you're depressed.
Yeah.
Here's a pill. It's all in your head. And I think what you said in the very beginning was tapping into your own intuition and the body's wisdom. And I think this applies to so many different things when we go, like I knew someone who would go to work every single day and get a headache.
Hmm.
It's like whether that was the actual job that they needed to leave or transition out of,
Hmm.
or like I always question, like, what if that building, that workplace
Hmm.
was full of toxins, was full of things that were actually telling you that, like, yes, maybe you needed to leave that job, but also maybe like everyone in that building was being affected by those things. And like I don't know, there's so many things, or whether it's the person, the relationship that you're going to and you see that person, a couple times a week, like what if their home is you're exposing yourself to a whole different level of toxins. So talk to us about that, because this is a super interesting part that I don't want to say like everybody has to leave and move from their homes, but I think there's a level of awareness that we also need to have about our body's reaction to our environments, which is I'm so curious about this.
Yeah. This is such a complex topic, but it goes
I know.
my as you're talking, I'm just thinking about, we have just normalized a really low standard for ourselves for how we feel. So like you said, I have a headache, that's fine. We've just normalized not being healthy. Like, our range of normal for health is not optimal at all. Most people are not living their optimal health. Their mitochondria, their cellular function is not what it should be for their age and for given if they feel like they are fine. And a lot of it does have to do with just the daily exposure. So the best theory I've ever for explaining it has been like a bucket. So you're a bucket, and everywhere you go, everything you do starts filling your bucket. So think about the first thing you do in the morning. What are you putting on your face, in your hair, in your mouth? What are you then cleaning your counter with? Then you're driving to work, and the fumes of that, and then you get to work and there could be black mold there could be bleach, that like you're just constantly filling your bucket. Then you go to eat or you go to drink coffee, and there's mold in your coffee, and there's toxins in your coffee, and your food is full of glyphosate. Like, you just keep filling yourself as the day goes on. And how are your organs supposed to keep up? Like, this isn't a normal level for our body to break down. And if we're functioning optimally, we should be able to, that's the process of our body to detox things. But we're just so overloaded that our body can't do that anymore, and it's throwing off our hormones, it's throwing off the rest of our systems. They're not working together, but we don't notice this. And it could be really subtle, and it could be over time. And it happens faster to some people, and it leads to other larger symptoms that are more in your face versus those little everyday ones of like, oh, my stomach hurts, or I'm really tired, or I just don't have that energy and that drive anymore to do things. I'm just stuck. So I feel like it's happens to everybody. It just happens at a different timeline in their life. And it just depends how you're listening to your body on whether you're going to listen to those little signs before it gets really bad. Or did you wait till you had this catastrophic, like me, I was in a wheelchair like a vegetable before. I was like, whoa, this happened fast. This is not okay. I think it happens at different phases for people and it kind of comes out in different ways.
Wow. I like this explanation. That definitely in my brain that makes a lot of sense. And I think I hear so many people will be like, "Well, your body's meant to like just detox those things." And I think that to a level is totally true. Like I believe that we have to have faith in the human bodies that we were given,
Yeah.
and we have like the ability to clean things out and do all these things and be in rest and recovery. But then I think, like, my mind immediately went to, like, okay, sure. So then you have the night to sleep it over and your body for it to do all of those things. But what happens when your sleep is atrocious and
Right.
you don't have the sleep hygiene so that the systems in your body can go work to clean you out? And what happens if you are eating like massive amounts of food throughout the day? So you're constantly in digest, or what happens if, you have that nightcap at the end of the night and then there's your liver's like filtering through alcohol. Like there's all these normal things. It's normal to have a glass of wine, or red wine's good for you or something. Like there's so many things.
Yeah.
There's too many to even talk about, but like there's so many things that like just make this whole process of detoxifying so hard.
So hard. The
And
body
never
was
mind
not
you're
meant
coming
to
home
do
to a
what we're
house.
expected. Yes. We were never meant to be exposed to all of this. I mean, you can get into just the air that we're breathing. Like we weren't meant to handle this load. And if you do it for so long, it gets clogged up. At some point it's going to get clogged and you're going to have to manually get it out in order to keep up with the daily load. So like right now for me, I have gotten my toxin load, let's call it, down to a very good level, but I have to maintain and keep on top of it. But there's so many things that come into play, like getting back to foundational health. We have all gotten away from just like circadian rhythm. Does anybody have one anymore? We're up at all hours. We're with a blue light screen attached to our face. It's the first thing we look at. Your body needs like the signaling from the sun in the morning to start certain processes, get digestion going, get certain you know, your body just it can't start that when it looks at a phone, but that's what everybody does. And you have to be sleeping at 10 o'clock. There's a cycle that happens in your body to start that process of recovery from your day. Who's doing that? We're watching TV and holding a phone probably and drinking something and eating something, you know, it's just we're making it hard on the body. So the body wants to do this. And I fully believe and I agree with you. We can get back to that. And helping the body out. We have to help it out to get there. And it wants to heal. I think everything we are able to heal. I'm like a full believer and we can heal our bodies, but you do need to help it. And it does take work and it does take getting back to foundational health, like cleaning up our sunlight, our lighting in our home, in my home, I have specific circadian friendly bulbs that don't flicker. I mean, a lot of people don't know that when you're at work all day under fluorescent lights and just your regular light bulbs, they're flickering. And like, think about that, what that does to your brain. And it's all day. I wonder why you have that headache, and why you can't sleep then because your brain is fired up, and then it's our air. Do we even know what we're breathing inside and outside? And then water, all the things that we're drinking in our water, especially if we're on city water and it's just such a rabbit hole, but like those foundational things like light, water, and air, nobody's controlling or looking at. And then we wonder what happened to us.
Yeah. And instead the thing is like, oh, well, here's a pill.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
like and at best it's here's a supplement. Like,
Yeah.
let's like maybe there is really, doctors who are looking more holistically, and like bless them, they probably went to great universities, but like us, they were shoved into a system where this is what they were told, they absorbed all the knowledge and now they're here. And at best they're recommending a supplement, and I think that's better than nothing. But like, oh my goodness, like when was the last time a doctor, I mean, I I don't know. When was the last time a doctor asked you, like, how's your sleep? What's the lighting like in your house? What water are you drinking? Like, most people would be like, that's like, why are you asking me that question? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
because it
And
doesn't deal with the symptom.
And it's hard. It's harder to do that. That is a harder route. It's harder to think about. We don't want to think about that. And I think we want to trust in, well, of course the water's clean. Why would our water not be clean to drink? Or like, of
Right.
course the air is fine. Of course, all these things I bought in a store and I brought into my house, of course they're not making me sick and off gassing it. Like, we really do trust in something bigger, and we want to think that it's safe, and they wouldn't sell it if it wasn't safe. We couldn't buy that at the grocery store if it wasn't safe. But that's like where it comes in of the critical thinking and just maybe looking beyond what you've always read about or been told. And that's when people go down these rabbit holes of learning, because it really just opens up all the realms. Like, you can't just start researching your water without getting into everything else. Like, there's no way to just dip my toes into, like, I'm going to clean out my water, because then you realize, oh my gosh, I need to do this too. It's not just my water, it's my food, it's my air, and supplements. Not every supplement is clean, right? They're coming back with testing for, heavy metals and supplements. And the thing is, we feel good, like, I'm going to just buy this supplement and it's going to help me. But if at a cellular level, your body is not functioning, it can't do anything with that supplement. You're just adding another useless thing to your body to try and break down, and it can't receive that and do something with that. So sometimes it's not as easy as just a supplement. Like, we really have to start foundational root. Every time I think I was at root cause, I had to uncover another layer. I'm like, nope, I got to go deeper. That's not like Lyme, not my root cause problem. It was a very surface level diagnosis. It gave me a little bit of an answer, but that wasn't root cause. I had to go deeper. Okay, mold, still not root cause. Like, why did that take down my system? Okay, parasites, nope, not yet. Like, I had to just go down, oh, it's my cellular health. Like, I can't get any more deeper in my body than my cells. But it takes so long to get there. So much education, so much learning on your own, research, talking with other people. I only know half the things I know from other people sharing it with me. Like, this isn't just readily available, and you just certainly can't go to your practitioner and ask them, can you just tell me about, like, my cellular health? Like, that's just not a conversation. So you have to rely on other people to help learn. And kind of like, every time I talk to someone, it kind of nudged me down a little bit of a different path to explore. And then I get nudged this way, and they just kind of helped guide me.
Yeah, and I think we talk about this a lot, like, just start talking to people, whether it's on whatever change that you want in your life,
Mhm.
whether it's leaving a job, focusing more on your health, leaving a relationship, changing things up, just reestablishing better relationships. Like, start with figuring out who you can talk to. And I think the more people that you start to talk to, your voice will kind of like create this ripple effect where they bring those people closer into your sphere, because God, the universe, whatever you want to say, is going to hear you and is going to bring that vibration close to you.
Mhm.
Um, there's so much to unpack. But so let's say someone is feeling, they're like, I know something isn't right. I've maybe been given a diagnosis or something um, by whatever practitioner, and they're kind of like, okay, well, where on earth do I start? You said that foundational stuff, but what are some like things that people could start looking at? Maybe some things that they could do themselves, but also then a couple things that they could do with a practitioner. Or maybe it's a question that they need to ask. Where does anybody start in this whole process?
Yeah, it's definitely not one practitioner. It's kind of like you need to build up a little bit of a team. Like, I have different
Mhm.
practitioners that I see for different things. I've never found I could rely on one person. They're
Mm.
my one all be all going to heal me. Like, that's you can't go into it thinking that it's not going to be that. But that person can give you a stepping stone or some guidelines, or maybe some different kind of testing that isn't just a blood test. There's so much out there that isn't covered by insurance that can give you a better look at, like, at a cellular level, like, what are my cells doing? How's my inflammation? Start with a baseline of, like, what's really going on with my body. And then I think it's really great to experiment with different food and start reading about, let's look at what I'm eating, all of the inflammatory foods, the sugars, the seed oils. Like, what if I just cut a little bit of that out? Okay, did I see a little bit of an improvement? Okay, that's good. Like, let's keep going. Maybe I'm going to start to buy some organic from like the Dirty Dozen list. Like, I'm going to start making some small changes. Like, you just kind of start snowballing and asking people, like, well, I'm interested about that protocol you're doing, or I'm interested in why do you eat this, or why do you use this to detox? And I just think, like you said, it just comes to you. Like, you just start finding the path of people to talk to. And I feel like one of my friends said this in the holistic world. She talked about seed planting. And it's like every time
Mhm.
you talk to somebody, something plants in you that like is information that maybe at that time you're like, you don't absorb it, but it will come back to you to be like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Now I'm going to kind of take that seed and I'm going to go down that avenue with it. So I don't think there's like a one way path to this, but I think just start moving and talking, and maybe it's at a naturopathic level, maybe it's a little bit deeper for different kind of practitioners. I don't even see naturopaths anymore because to me, I'm at that level of like, that's too Western now. I don't want 80 supplements to take because I know that that's not going to work for me at this phase, but that phase worked out really well 10 years ago for me when I was just starting.
I like that you said that you need to create a team. I
Mhm.
think that's really, really key for so many people is to like, it's not going to be one person. You're not going to go to your medicine woman and they're going to like wave their stuff and then
Mhm.
you're going to be good.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's really important that you say that you have to go to different people to resource this information for yourself. So, in this process, I am assuming that, there was people around you that supported you with this because they saw how you were suffering for years and trying to figure out this sort of path to wellness or more health, like step by step. But I'm sure there must have been people who were like, Mariah's nuts. And I have felt this too. Like I'm leaving my job. Like in all these areas of our life where we start to make these big changes, go down these rabbit holes, start advocating for ourselves, start understanding like, what is not working, what is working. Is it my job, relationship, my relationship with food, like my body? There are
Mhm.
people who are like, you're nuts. Like, what's going on? And you start being like, well, I'm literally just, God forbid I'm one of those who do my own research. Like you come up against resistance. So talk to us maybe about how did that go? How did you deal with the resistance to be like, you know, this chick's gone off the deep end?
Yeah. I think in the beginning, I had jumped into like a Lyme community. And so we were all frantic. And you can tell when somebody's like at the very beginning of their journey because it's very panicked and frantic and end of the world. Their nervous system is just because they're just learning all of this and they're just like wide eyed, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then you get to the end and like now, I'm not panicked when I hear something or I need to work on something. I'm just like, okay, like we can do this. So you can tell right away. But I think just having a partnership, like my husband and I met because we both had Lyme. And so we've been in it together. So there's just having one person who's never going to question. I walk into a store, I'm like, I got to get out of here. I'm dizzy. I'm feeling a hit. We got to go. And that person's not going to be like, yeah, you're nuts. We're staying here. I feel like it would have been so much harder if I was trying to constantly defend myself or defend how I was going to feel. And I see a lot of people like lose relationships with family, friends, significant others because that person is just, they're almost just sick of the, oh, here we go again. Now they don't feel good here. Now we got to rip up the house. Like between my husband and I, we would never question each other if someone's saying, I don't feel good. I need to look into this and just support that person through it because I definitely lost a lot of friendships because my world is very different and it's very weird. And it kind of worked out for me at that time. I moved to a different country. And so I started fresh in a new country. And I was kind of just doing this on my own with my husband. We were kind of like we just had each other. We didn't have a community yet. And now I have other, holistic moms that I could lean on and we can ask questions and it's become a lot easier. So it was almost like I had to just separate myself a little bit, start fresh, find and build that community of people that could support me, make me feel like I am grounded. I am, not crazy. And they also believe in this. And I'm probably at the higher end of the spectrum of, being so strict about food in our lifestyle, only because I know that I have to, and I know the risk of like, my kids are autoimmune too, and their health depends on it. So I have like quite a drive to do that. And luckily, my family is super supportive. I mean, they've seen the transition that I've made from being sick and bedridden to like functioning at a crazy level right now and doing so well. And they know those are the things that I've done and changed. And so even if they don't understand it, or they're like, what are you doing now? It's the middle of winter. Why are you outside getting sunlight at 7 in the morning? But I don't think they question anymore. They just know, like, I'm going to do it anyways. I don't feel like I need to keep it a secret. I'm fully like an open book. I'm like proud of what I do. I don't feel like I'm a weirdo for doing what I do. I embody all of it, And so I think just being confident and just knowing, I'm making choices for myself and my family, and that's up to me. And I only am controlling my family and my kids and my husband, and what everyone else does, that's fine. They get to do what they want to do, and I get to do what I want to do. That's the best part of it.
Yeah, and I love that you share that you get to share your life on Instagram. I'll drop all of that information down below because I love following along with like the things that you're discovering and learning about, and just like different wellness practices that you wouldn't even think of, that like you would have no idea that would affect us. And again, they're just so normalized. Like,
Mhm.
and although yes, some people might be like, "Whoa, that's super extreme," they also wouldn't understand where you were, where, like, you couldn't get out of bed, where you could not function. And I think, like, it's such a testament to, like, you went through wild times in order to be where you're at, and so whatever you've done has obviously worked. And I
Mhm.
think for anyone else who's, like, wondering, "Oh my gosh, where would I even start? I feel the same way," or I'm experiencing symptoms, like, it is just it's such a testament to, like, it's sometimes, yeah, you have to be willing to be the crazy one, and then people will, and as long as you lead by example and don't push things on other people, and you just sort of control your family and yourself, then like that's a beautiful way to live. And I think that's, we have to do what we have to do to, advocate for our own wellness. So that kind of brings me to what you do now. So I'm really curious, you've sort of been in this new project of building. I'm gonna let you take over from here, but because 'cause I'm just super curious about it, and it's a next level wellness that, like, I didn't even consider, but now I'm looking around my house being like, "Oh my god."
I know that's the thing. It's once you start, you can't stop because you don't want to. Because I'm like, I want to achieve this optimal health and I want to feel good and I want to live a long life that I feel good at. So why not keep going and exploring? And that's like, I love learning too. And so I just keep what more could I learn? And I'm doing it at a rate that's not overwhelming to me. I've taken each step with what I could handle. I didn't just like wake up one day and throw out my entire house and being like, I'm switching everything. Like I've made it very slow and manageable so that I haven't been overwhelmed by it. And so I always say people are like overwhelmed when they see what I'm doing. And I'm like, it's taken me 15 years to get here. This wasn't just overnight. And now I'm at the level where I've done all those other things. They're just a natural part of my life. I don't even think twice about them. So now I'm diving into a healthy home. And we know about mold and we know about toxins in the home, but it's actually like a lot deeper than that. And the way our homes are built and construction, there's a name, it's called building science. And I had never heard of building science. And my husband and I built this house and we thought we want to build a healthy home. And at the beginning of this build 2 years ago, I didn't even know what I know now of what building science and health. Like I thought, oh, it's picking low VOC paint and we're going to put like low toxic glue and we're going to, just very surface level. And now I'm learning there's a whole other side of construction and building that controls like air and moisture and prevents mold and water intrusion and air sealing your home and able to clean the air and circulate fresh air. And it is so meticulous and comes down to how the home is built. And there's so much to it and there's so much planning and just a healthy home is not what I thought it was. And I've loved diving into the deeper part of construction. And I've had to because I've had to advocate for my own house because it was unfortunately not built the right way. We thought we could speak with a specialist and get some guidelines, and the builders would just build it that way and we'd be fine. But we're on mold remediation 3 over here, and we are like rebuilding our house the proper way because Now I've learned so much, and I have a building scientist and an engineer and a team. So it doesn't all have to be on me, um, to make sure that this time it's proper and, the air that we're breathing is clean. There's not water leaking in my windows. I'm not worried about mold in my kids' rooms, on their walls. And it's been a huge eye opening. I didn't even know that there was a world out here for like holistic, healthy building, but I think it's going to become more popular because a lot of people are really sick in their homes and don't know why. And it's just has a lot to do with like how our homes are constructed. They're not they're not built properly for the climates. They're just like cheap materials, fast. Get them up, get them sold because that sells better and we make a bigger profit on it. Building this way is not cheap. It's not fast. Um, and it requires a team, 100%.
Wow, I think exactly what you just said, like, can relate to everything else that we do with our health. Like,
Mhm.
everything that you do that is going to be more health conscious is going to take more time, take more of an investment into yourself to take like everything in your life would go under that. Like if you want to just go to, Shoppers Drug Mart here in Canada and grab like a supplement off the shelf and pay like a low price on that, you're that's gonna be
Yeah.
you can only like that's gonna be what your investment is in total. If you actually want to do the research, use your time, energy, talk to other people about what they're doing. I think it goes to show like that is what will be possible for you. And same goes for our homes and our jobs and everything around us. I think you've just really highlighted that like all of these things matter way more to
Mhm.
our physical bodies. And if we could just slow down and like listen to our bodies about how we feel when we wake up. And I'm sure there's lots of different ways that we started, like having air filters in our home, and there's a lot of like surface level
Yeah.
things that we can do. And listen, I know everyone's not going to be able to like attain this. People are renting. They can't just tear down their home. But I do think like it would affect the next decision that you make. You know what I mean? Like if you knew that moving or changing locations was going to be something in your future, and you know what, maybe you can't do anything about it right now, but
Mhm.
you could take that time, educate yourself, and then the next decision that you make is going to be more informed.
Yeah. And everything you make, if you're making one decision that's helpful, that's one that you weren't making before. Like it still matters, even if it's small. The thing that drives me the most crazy and just it's so discouraging to me is just how inaccessible doing this is. It's not easy to build a perfectly healthy home with a building scientist and an engineer and making sure there's no water coming. Like that's not attainable. And you know, that's the frustrating part. Eating all organic and like having a team of practitioners that you see for yourself and your kids. Like this is crazy the level of money and time that it takes to do that. And I that's the most unfair part to me and it drives me nuts. And that's why I love just sharing like as much information as I can of whatever I learn because I mean that's we just have to help each other. Like any information that you can get, like you need to share it because that could be a stepping stone for someone. That could be that seed planting for someone. Even the littlest thing that someone might pick up could make a huge difference in their health journey where they're at. So just why not just share the information and then decide like where I'm at in my life at this point, what can I do? Okay, I can add this. This makes sense for me, doesn't overwhelm me, doesn't overwhelm my budget. I'm going to do that now. Maybe in 2 years, I'm adding something else. Like it doesn't have to be overnight and it shouldn't be. But any little step you take, you're just taking more control over your life and your health. And I just think that's empowering.
Yeah, it's baby steps because the last thing that you want to do is then create a laundry list of all these things you have to do. And then your nervous system is shot and your stress levels are through the roof. And so, like, you're affecting your hormones on a totally different way. And that will also keep you stuck and bound in this life that you're trying to change. So, little baby steps, take your time. Like, I love you said, if 15 years it took you to like
Hmm.
totally understand and make these shifts. And so, I think giving yourself grace in all of this and understanding that it's a long game. You're going to make these little shifts and changes. You're going to talk to these people about like these little things that you want to do and find out more information and be, you know, be graceful with yourself and give yourself a lot of time and patience. Because yeah, these shifts, like you said, doesn't happen overnight.
And I feel like it could be overwhelming in some of the social media platforms because you're seeing all these biohacking tools that I need this, I need that. But I always want people to go back to like, there are such foundational things that you can do in your own home and with yourself. And you don't need all of these fancy, expensive tools. Like once you start reading, there are foundational things you can do that can make a big difference and just little choices you make every day. Um, you don't need every tool under the sun. That actually just makes it more complicated because, it's overwhelming to your nervous system, like you said. And I just hate when people feel like I can't get better unless I have this, or I must buy this brand, or, it doesn't have to be that way. There's different levels of organic food out there that you can find in different choices. Maybe there's a best and there's a better, you can just decide between that, but at least you're still making a small step and your body will notice that little difference.
Yeah, and I like that you said like it is frustrating that it's not accessible always to be constantly, buying organic and being in the best homes possible and having, all of these different things that we can do outside of us, but like can you make the little choice, and I can even recognize this in myself that I can make little choices, and there are going to be seasons in life where you have to take your time and energy and resources and put it towards something else. So like right now I recognize that buying all organic grass-fed, like grass-finished groceries and meat for me, I'm not in that season right now.
Right.
And that's okay. I was back in the summer, and now I'm not. So I'm going to peel that back, but I'm still going to make those choices. Can I go to the organic section and see what organic vegetables are on sale? Can I not buy organic, but can I buy grass fed? Like there's just these little choices that, and I'm kind to myself in those moments, but knowing and like keeping and remembering me like, okay, well, I couldn't do that today. Like I couldn't do that one thing that I usually do, but,
Mhm.
I'm getting enough exercise. I'm getting outside to get enough fresh air. There's free things that you can do. I'm, taking in enough oxygen, doing my breath work so that my body can detox these things that, aren't perfect in this season of life.
I was going to say, and like mindset is everything. You can control your mindset. You can control how you start your day. Go outside and get your sunlight. That doesn't cost you anything. Put your phone away at night. Put it on airplane mode. Keep it out of your bedroom. Go to sleep. Dim your lights. Don't have all your overhead lights on. Like there are little things that you can do that are making you feel like I am treating my body and I am taking care of it. And I'm going to go to bed early and I'm not going to start my day on my phone. And maybe I'm going to have a little bit of protein instead of like a junky breakfast option, like just small, small options that you can treat your body and your nervous system and your stress. I mean, stress is everything. And we definitely do have control over going for a walk, doing some breath work, just doing affirmations, telling your body you're safe, or just I'm proud of you, or like talking to yourself in like a really kind way. I think that goes a long way. And those are all things that don't cost anything. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Like I one time like in a season of life, it was just I started including like belief in my own cells. And every time before I had a meal, I would just like have a prayer to my cells, and I would recognize them and be like, I am giving you nutrients. I love you. You are going to do an amazing job of uptaking as much of the nutrients as possible. And I would pray over every single meal. I for some reason that practice has gone away a little bit, but that you're right. That mindset really, really matters.
yeah. Yeah. You want your body to feel safe. You want it to
Yeah.
feel not in fight or flight, and that will trickle down to the rest of your system for sure.
Yeah. Beautiful, Mariah. Well, thank you so much for being
Mm.
here today to sharing your wisdom. Now, if people want to follow along, because I think your Instagram is really, really beautiful, and you document so wonderfully. Like it's just what you're going through. This is your life. This is the practices that you have. If people want to find you, where can they go for more of your wisdom and just following along?
Yeah, I basically just share everything on my Instagram at
Okay.
Mariah.Jane. And it's not all holistic. It's like you said, it's just my life. And to me, I find it's funny to share that people like it because it's so normal to me, but it could be interesting or out of the norm for other people. So I just try and share what I can within reason. I don't like to spend a lot of time on my phone. So it's pretty, I mostly do it when my kids are in bed, but I do like to document some of the stuff because, again, seed planting and sharing information. And I love to share what I have spent years learning. If that could help someone else, that makes it worth it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, I'll put all of that in the show notes down below.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, friends. If you loved this episode, I have one thing to ask of you. Hit that subscribe or follow button, depending on the platform that you are using. And if you do have a friend that you think could benefit from an episode like this, share it with them. This helps the show grow and just helps get the word out and help more and more people become unbound.